Wagwan, you beautiful motherfuckers. Welcome back. Glad you made it. It's a social production. We're doing it on Friday, November 22nd, 2024. Thank you for joining me once again. If it's your first time, buckle up, buckle on. Where can you find these videos? On Instagram, follow me there. Subscribe on the YouTube channel so you get the full-length videos. Check out patreon.com/RobSadra if you'd like to physically, financially support the show. If you're tuning in from Canada, mi familia, Wagwan down south in the United States, further down south, as per usual, Mexico. Over there in South America, over there, Europe, Asia, Africa, Antarctica, Papua New Guinea, New Zealand, the Arctic, over there in Senegal, over there in Portugal, over there in Thailand, in Vietnam, over there in India, all across the globe, over back over in Spain again, Italy, Sweden, all over the place. Wherever you're tuning in from, I hope you're doing well. Let's get it going because it's Friday and I'm just like, it's almost the end of the month, baby. Let's rock and roll, let's have some fun. Because I've been thinking about a bunch of stuff that I'd like to discuss with you boys and girls and ladies and the gents, everybody, the collective. Feels. New coffee, I gotta say, it's still black. It's still black. The way I like my coffee is the way I like my women. It's in cups, that is. But it is a little hint of hazelnut, a little bit of nut. A little bit of nut never hurt no one. That is good, I like it. That is good, I likes it. Let's get right into it though. It is Friday, feeling all over the place, but that's nothing out of the ordinary, but let's get into it. I've been thinking about this because I had to. I'm just like, when it comes to the head game, all right, let's get right into it. When it comes to giving head, when it comes to eating puss, when it comes to giving head, when it comes to swallowing versus spitting, when it comes to sucking cock and eating puss. I thought about it. I'm like, who does it best? Who does it best? Do straights give the best head, or is it the gays and the lesbians who give the best head? And I had to think about this long and hard. And I think this is the way it should go from now. And I think it's safe to say if you want to do like heterosexual activities, obviously you go to the opposite sex, which is good. You do that, normal, heterosexual for the heterosexuals. That's what you do, not, all good. But who gives the better head? Now there is arguments to be made for both sides. Because like thinking about it, numbers wise, far more heterosexuals than there are gays and lesbians, I would think. Given the numbers, I'd say you'd still, this is the way I broke it down, this is the way I think about it. I think if you wanted to, because there's a numbers, yes, there's a numbers game. The heterosexuals have the advantage there. So there could be an argument made that because they give the better head or eat the best box, then it's the heteros that give the best head and the best the sucking in the old cock and eating the vag, but there is something to be said about the gayness and the lesbianness who are, I thought about it like this. I think the way it could be understood is if we look at it from, if we compare them to doctors, let's say we compare them to doctors, heterosexuals, in my opinion, would be your general practitioners, right? They do the sticky, spitty, licky, fuck regular. That's the heterosexual general practitioners. Mostly vag to penis, penis to vag, mouth to mouth, missionary, doggy style, fucking upside down, but still it's vag to peen. And then every once in a while, of course, you work the nips, you eat the puss, you eat it, licky, sticky, right there, right? Sticky, right? Sticky, right there, spitty. General practitioners. Whereas lesbians and gays, if they were to be doctors, which they are, all lesbians and gays are doctors, so let's just put it that way. They're the specialists. Because if you're a lesbian and you've had no heterosexual experience, then you've only known your own body and another female or multiple females' bodies, which only has given you the opportunity to specialize on eating puss. So there's an argument like which is better in terms of numbers, quantities. Heterosexuals, I think they win that portion. I don't know which weighs more. But then there's the gayness that specializes, and you have birthright privileges in that sense, because like a guy or a lady who is the gay would give you, I would assume, if they, because that's the only thing they think about. If you stick with just one body type, which is your own, and you stick it, you're like, that's the thing that I'm attracted to, that's the thing I'm going. Then if penis is on your mind or vag is on your mind, and you have a vag or you have a peen, you would think that you know what feels right for you or what feels good for you, and that way you'd probably perform what you would think works best. I don't know. I'm a little bit torn. I like to leave it up to the streets and the internet. Who do you think? Who gives better head? If it happens to be, maybe it's just like maybe it's all the same, but maybe it's different. Should it be different? Then maybe we should open it up that if you're like in a heterosexual relation or even in a gay relation, getting head or eating box shouldn't be even considered cheating. That's just, I think that's what I'm putting forth today. That's what I'm presenting today. Getting head, if you're in a heterosexual relationship, I'll say this, because what if the gay dudes do give the better head? Putting it out there. Do gay dudes give better head than regular heterosexual chicks? I don't know. Simultaneously, do lesbian chicks eat better box than heterosexual men? Arguments to be made for both sides. I'm divided on it. I don't know, to be honest with you. But I'll leave it to you. Leave a comment if you think, leave a comment why you believe lesbians give the best box eating session and the gays with the sucking at the cock versus heterosexual. And there's got to be, somebody's got to be able to, again, numbers far more heterosexuals than there are gays. I would say but then because it is a more holistic approach, maybe you don't give the best head or you don't eat the best box, but because you're holistic, that way it kind of evens. I'm torn on this one. This one's a doozy, and I'll leave it up to the internet. I don't have the answers. I don't have the answers to anything. So figure it out. Let me know who you think gives the best. Is it the lesbians that eat the best vag, or is it a heterosexual dude? And then conversely, is it the dudes that give the best head versus the heterosexual females? Leave a comment. If you have any proof, put it up there. If you have like a numbers, if you've tested it out. I guess the only people who would know, I guess we'd have to probably sample from we need our bisexuals out there to speak up. I know they get because they would then they would know. They would know. Somebody who's been with, but then it has to be the same amount of females and males for you to actually be able to. You can't have more females in your repertoire than you do males. That way you don't know. We'd have to sample and ask these questions to bisexuals and see if it is, again, let's say, they've been with 10 dudes, 10 chicks. Out of those 10, out of those 20, who gave the best head or ate the best box? Again, so figure it out, internet. Figure it out. Questions that I think about late at night, and I'd like some answers, because I'm just saying. And if it's, because that way we could just maybe remove the labels. Maybe we could just like oral sex could just like get, remove the labels of oral sex. Because if you're like, what if your homie gives you the best head? Just putting it out there. What if your lady friend eats the best box? You still want to go home, have a family, for the majority, but like every once in a while, you're like, I like to get like, whatever the Kobe beef of, I don't even know if like, I don't spend too much on food or anything for that matter. So I don't know what like the highest grade of beef is, but like, what if your like lady friend, what if Lucy is the best, like what if she's like the Kobe beef, Kobe, whatever. What if she's like a sirloin, top fucking highly rated steak, but like, eating vag. She's a Kobe beef of eating vag. Let's just put it that way. She's the Michael Jordan of eating vag. And you're like, every once in a while, I like to play with the home team, but then for head, which is not even, oral shouldn't even be, I think that's just me thinking about things late at night. Thank you for joining me today. It is Friday. Ladies and gents, I'll say this, because it is something, those are just, it's important we discuss the important things in life, I'll say that. But on another note, let's get right into it. It is Friday. If, I've heard this line before, I've heard it, I've seen it, on the lines, people, or sometimes in person, you'll hear it. Somebody will say it. They'll say it comes from a female, and then I guess there's the male perspective of it as well. Or, it's when females, when ladies with tits, they say they want the princess treatment, that they want the princess treatment. Then you gotta. I have questions is all I'm saying. Because like the princess treatment, ladies and gentlemen, it's, what kind of princess we talking about? Like real princess? Like real princess? Like, because then I have to think of all the things that goes into it. And I'm like, can I provide the princess experience? First of all, I get preoccupied with thoughts of, do I need a time machine? She's asking for like the princess treatment. Like right now, modern age societies, we don't really have princesses. It's an outdated thing, royalty, kings, queens, prince. They're out. They don't belong anymore in our. It doesn't mesh with our, modernity. All our improvements, all our evolution. It's just like, there's a whole sense of elitism. Because we as reg citizens, we believe in like work hard, play hard, earn your place in society. Whereas like, divine right of like, that sort of, so it's contradictory, which just makes your brain kind of like, you have an aneurysm thinking about it. You're like, yes, work hard, merits, get ahead by working, yes. And then you're like, all right, prince or princess or king, queen, yeah. So it's just like, how'd that happen? But that's the thing. If somebody does ask for the princess treatment, you really gotta like, first of all, you're gonna need a time machine. That's for one. That's the starters. Numero uno. I'm like, all right, if baby wants it, if baby wants it, baby gets it. That's what I says to myself. Like, if baby wants it, baby gets it. Time machine, bring it in. Set it back to like, medieval times. Go back a few hundred years. Give her the full princess treatment. First of all, say goodbye to your phone, say goodbye to electricity, say goodbye to a lot of things, but it's the princess treatment. Essentially, this is what'll happen. You'll have a princess. She could be your lady asks for the princess treatment. It'll be, start off from the beginning of her journey. She grows up, she's now come of age. She is, and that's for back then. It was, man, coming of age back then was, some of the individuals involved in the Epstein parties and the Diddy parties would have loved to have been, in those ages, because the coming of age would have been, a whole different. But that's the thing. So that's another thing. Princess treatment. You're, probably like 14, 15, and you start to have like crushes on maybe even like a local prince, next door neighbor prince. 15 around your age, which is great. You may crush on each other for a few years. Then you're like, all right, we're gonna get married when we turn a little bit older. Maybe around 18, 19 is when we get married. Sweet. And like, that's fine. You're still, if your father who's probably a king, you have your mother who's a queen, and they're like watching after. It's nice to see you intermingle with other other royalty. Princess, go date a prince for a little. But then it comes down to, you're like, man, now she's like 19, 20. She's like, I want to get married. And she's already fallen in love with the other, there's a prince next door. Chivalrous, it's full of chivalry, full of Chevrolet, full of Chavas Regal, full of champagne, just full of, sheepskin, full of all of it. But then your father, your mother would step in at that time, and they'll have a talk with you. As your slaves are braiding your hair and feeding you grapes, and maybe one's getting like whipped in the back because like she or he forgot to like do their duty, so they're getting whipped. There's screams, whipping. There's maybe a little bit of blood splattering. It probably would be. I'd get you a nicer castle. We're setting it. There's still slaves in your castle. Workers, serfs, whoever. Lesser, the peasants. They're there, but not for you to be. Don't associate with them. Don't make eye contact with them. We've already told them not to make eye contact with you. But the point is, that'll be going on, and you'll be like, mommy, daddy king. I want to get married. And they're like, great, because we've been thinking about this too. You should be getting married. You're getting really old. You're 20. You're extremely old. You'll be good for nothing in about 10 years. So hurry up. And yes, you should get married. But the princess treatment, the way it works is you have your crush, you have the next door neighbor prince who you'd want to marry. And that's not going to work out, because most often princesses were kind of like bargaining chips. They were like a way to, then your father would bring you and be like, yes, the Edward over there, not going to work. We're going to have you marry Philip over there. Philip, 57-year-old, 67-year-old Philip, King Philip right there. I don't know. It sounds like a nice, I believe there was probably, it's just a name. I don't know. These sound like king names. I believe there should have been probably a King Philip. I'm sure of it. Doesn't matter. It's just a name for a story right now. King Philip, 67. That's who you're going to marry. And she's like, no, Daddy, no. Daddy, I love him. I want to do it. Oh, it feels good inside me, Daddy. The young chivalrous prince, I want to marry that one. And Daddy will say, no, the young blood princess, because we're gonna have to consolidate. We're gonna have to join forces in order to keep the kingdoms going. So it's not gonna cut it off between you and the young chivalrous prince. It's not gonna work out. And I'm like, oh, Daddy, no, Daddy, and you stomp your feet. Daddy, no, Daddy, I want my prince, next door prince, Daddy, no, Daddy. You kick and and maybe you smack a couple of peasants who are around you to take out your rage. Peasants, throw a peasant off the roof because you're a princess. You could do that. They'd fall into a buggy filled with shit because weekly or monthly or bi-weekly, I don't know, they come biannually. They come in and take the loads of shit that was just dumped by you and your beautiful, fellow courtsmen who are in your court. You share the same shit, and as the shit buggy, spins off into the distance, you go chase it. You're like, oh, Daddy, you don't get me, Daddy, and you'll run away chasing I'm gonna do my own thing, Dad, and you'll come back eventually. You'll come back in a week or two, and you're like, thought about this, Daddy. I don't want to marry Philip, and Daddy will say, well, you have no choice. And you're like, yes, I do, the prince next door. And then Daddy will be like, okay, let's have dinner first. And then they'll bring, large, beautiful silver plates. And then the ones with the large covers on, I don't know what they're called. They're like fancy plates with like covers on top, the metal covers. And then they'll lift the head, and then your dad will freak you out by presenting you, instead of food, it'll be your lover's head on a silver platter. Like, oh, look, Philip, chivalrous young Philip, or Edward is dead. Head is on the plate. What are you gonna do now? Marry this dead prince, handsome next door prince, Edward? Ever. Not gonna work out, so and you're bawling your eyes out. You're like, oh, Daddy, princess wants her princess treatment. And the king will, they'll take you away. He'll say, you know what, you're getting a little bit hysterical. That's what they'll call you to at that time, because that's, she's talking too much. You're being hysterical, princess. Go to your chambers, and they'll drag you to your chambers by force, but they love you. It's for your own good. And then in a month or so, Philip will come. You will get married you're crying because you love her. You can't get the picture out of your head now. Your dead lover's head on a plate presented to you to remind you of the realities of life, that you need to consolidate power and keep it in the bloodline. Yes, he's your third cousin removed, but that's how we keep power, and it's in the blood, it's in the family. Sure, everybody's got like a large chin and sausage fingers and all sorts of immune diseases, but it's all good. That's how you keep the money, that's how you keep the coinage. You must understand, you do it for princesses, you do it for the family, you do it for the kingdom, you do it for the money bags, you do it for that's how you stay in power. Do it for power. So princess marries the old King Philip, and he's an alright king. Considering the times that kings are, he's an alright king. He's whatever. He's a little bit chubs, got a nice years of eating a lot, not exercising whatsoever, not having lifted anything other than a feather, probably, which was their back old school pens. That's so not much. The sex is, it's sucking him off. He's got a tiny peen, he's got a huge belly, has not showered in 7 and maybe even a good year. Doesn't care for them. He doesn't have to, by the way. He's the king. Shower is not what it's not what you think it is. You probably haven't showered in ages yourself, princess. But the smell is just horrific. He can't get it up. Eventually he'll get it up like half a chub. You'll get pregnant. You'll have a few babies. Princess treatment, full princess. Give her the full princess treatment. Remember, the full experience. You're pregnant. Few babies, 2-3 babies. You're now 23, 24. The king is kinging around. You're married to a king. And eventually you will just, you will get, because king gets tired and you seem to have opinions and, you're yapping away. So you're going to have to kind of like low key, like kind of like get out of the picture kind of sort of, because there's other, maidens to be brought into the chamber, the royal chamber. Because then it's so that, at that point you'll be labeled as somebody who's extremely hysterical, and the king wants multiple boys. You've only given him maybe 2 female daughters and maybe 1 boy, maybe 3 daughters, no boys, and that'll be a great excuse. Maybe you can't give baby boys to the king, and that's you gotta go. It's not working out so well. You will be sent off to a far distant village where you'll be stripped of all your titles, your rights, your property, everything. You'll still get fed better than like the local peasants. They'll kind of know who you are, but they won't. You'll be dirtier. And you'll have like one fancy dress, but over time it'll get dirtier and dirtier and dirtier. And people will, they'll talk to you every once in a while, but they know there's a little bit of separation. There's something that you're not a full, like, you don't. Where were you all these years? Where'd you come from? That's what they'll say. So you won't, you'll be isolated essentially. You'll get like 75 cats, and your children will, some of them, but that's the full princess treatment. So that's next time somebody says, I want the full princess treatment, and again, same thing with the prince. If you meet a guy I don't think dudes say that, but if I'm a king, I'm a king, I'm looking for, people who say I'm a queen looking for my king, or a king looking for my, it's a lot of incest and a lot of doing things for the sake of maintaining power. So it's not like, I'd just say the moral of that story, and that's the thing too. You take it for granted. I pick a modern person over a prince or a princess or a king or a queen or whatever any day. Just the shower thing alone. You know what I'm talking about? You'd be a dirty princess who doesn't. Oh, your vag will smell so horrible. The prince, the pits on the prince. You think showers alone is just. I'm sorry, I'm taking modernity. I'll take red guy modernity any day. Oh, but if somebody does want the princess treatment, baby wants it, baby gets it. Yes. And that's what happens. That's the princess treatment. If anyways, or like, what kind of prince are we talking? What kind of princess are we talking? Or we got to get it straight. Like, is it like, fantasy, like movie version of princess where everything works out? Cinderella goes home with or like real life princess. So I gotta know, cartoon princess or like real life princess who, had a difficult time breathing because of the corset. It was crazy. So, just a little bit of clarification next time. If somebody asks for a princess treatment, you want to give them the right one, the full experience. Ladies and gents, boys and girls, it is Friday, of course. Let's get right into it. I'll say this, thought about it. Do toilets as inanimate objects, because like if you were to think about everything sort of kind of, does everything have thoughts and feelings, or maybe not the way we do? Does everything, do objects, I've thought about this before, do they enjoy being the thing they are? Do your shoes look forward to you slipping into them? Does the toilet love when you take a shit or piss in it? You know what I mean? Like, is there a moment where you're like, because that's what they're made for. I'd hope so. If we find out that like even particles, even small elements of everything has consciousness kind of embedded into it. Some maybe they can't talk. Maybe it's just it's an inanimate object and it can't move, can't do anything. but maybe it feels it on the inside. Every time you sit your butt on it and it's like asking for it without talking with my, I'd hope so, at least. I'd hope so. I wish it's getting, I wish it's, if it's unconscious, then that's a complete, which is, more understandable from our perspective. Yes, inanimate object doesn't have any consciousness, makes more sense. But if it were to have any consciousness, I hope that the objects that get produced to, be what they are for the moment in time until they get, they go into the junkyard and eventually, get recycled and reused and back into the circle of life again. I hope that every time you sit down to take a shit or a piss, I hope they're saying, yes, give it to me, daddy, give it to me. Just, splatter all over me, yes. Fill it up with piss, I like piss. It'll say that. I'm hoping every time I flush, I'm making it happy, you know what I mean? It's like, every time you get diarrhea, every once in a while you get diarrhea, it's like a surprise, because it's used to the regular shit, but every time you hit it with the diarrhea, it's like, oh, daddy likes it dirty, give it to me, daddy. It'll say that. You're making your toilet happy, essentially. That's the way I like to look at it. It's like them eating. It's feeding time. I know you're getting rid of, what do they say? They say one man's garbage or junk is another man's treasure. It's the same thing. One, it might, yes, it's digested food of another is, treasures for another. That's what it is. I thought about that and I'm just like, I hope every time I'm taking a shit, somehow I'm making my toilet really happy because I'm feeding it, essentially. I don't have pets. I can't at this point because, living that bachelor life. And it's, I can't have pets, but I do like to, every time I do take a shit, I'm like, yes, you're doing a good thing. It's a good, I pet my little toilet. That's a good boy right there. It's a good girl right there. Take it right there. That's for you. I say it inside my head. I don't actually verbalize it. That'd be a little bit, but like I do, people think about things and you thought about it. So thank you for sharing and opening up. Thought about this as well, and because you never know. Which is more embarrassing? Is it more embarrassing to be a rapper and show up to a raper auditioning sesh, or be a raper who accidentally shows up to a rapper auditioning sesh or an audition? Which is more embarrassing? Because like if you're in your head, you're like, I'm gonna just like spit bars. I can't wait to get in there and rip it apart in the booth. I can't give me the mic, just let me go. And then you get in there and there's like 20 other dudes and 20 other chicks, and it's like, yep, it's a casting call. We're doing a scene. It's a full-blown gangbang rape sesh. That's what it is. It's the audition. We're filming. It's an audition for you're doing. And what do you do? Is it more embarrassing to be the rapper who shows up accidentally and now do you go through with it? It is, do you do it? Is it, which is more embarrassing? Or the raper who's like, oh, I can't wait till I show up to this audition because there's gonna be this, and that's what you audition for. I can't wait. But then you get there's no raping at all. It's just like, and you get bummed out, like, oh, I came here what is this? What do you mean rapper auditions? Not good with words. I can only, but I can stick it in. I can pull it in, pull it. You want me to pull your pants down, you're naked there and nobody's into it, but you're like, what if we did, I can't, but what if we switch it up and they're not like, no, this is a rapping audition, we don't do it, and you're like, but it's, what if you're dyslexic? What if you're dyslexic and you're either or? That could be tricky. You're like, rappers auditioning for rappers, yes. Or vice versa, auditioning for rapers. And again, which is more embarrassing? I would think is it equally as embarrassing to be, it's probably, I don't know, to be honest with you. I don't know which is embarrassing. I don't know which one's more embarrassing. Again, auditioning, we're not talking about like, unless you guys want to make it real, then we all full well know which one is more embarrassing, and I'm not gonna, you leave a comment as to which one you think, if it were to be a real life situation, then which one is more embarrassing. I think we all know which one is, but you be the judge. Leave a comment, subscribe if you like. What else? else is going on. I have also thought about this because I'm like, surely there must be a situation where you're caught, maybe in the middle of the desert, maybe in the middle of a jungle. There's no water supplies. I'm like, could you survive on your own piss? I asked ChatGPT and the Googles, and you can't really. It'll actually dehydrate you a little because it's not just water. It's a little bit of other stuff and minerals and salty. Was this? Piss is. I'm getting it confused. I'm getting it confused with tears. Tears you can't survive on. Piss, I think you can probably survive on a little bit longer. But I did think about this. You probably can't survive on piss for a really long time. But if you were with other people, because it's all about replenishing, right? It's water in, water out, water in, water. You can't just what if you were to human centipede your mouth on somebody else's genitals and they were to, and you, maybe 3-4 of you. 3-4 of you are stuck in the middle of the desert, right? And you're like, we don't have any water. If you could survive. I'm actually putting this out there. If you happen to be out there watching this podcast right now, you're stranded in the middle of a desert. You're like, there's 3-4 of us. We don't have any water. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying the show, but guess what? I bet you can extend your life expectancy out there in the elements by simply sticking your genitals on somebody else's mouth and creating a centipede to do a circle. It's called the circle of piss is what I like to call it. Mouth to peen, mouth to vag, mouth to peen, mouth to vag circle. And whenever you're thirsty, take a sip and then it'll go in. And it's the good thing is because there's 3-4 of you, that way you could kind of recycle it, kind of refine it so it's not your own and it's not just, and eventually I think if it goes through your system, it gets washed out. Would it become purified? Would it become water? That's a question for the internet that's not been answered. If piss just keeps on going through your mouth into somebody else's, or from your penis or from your vag into somebody else's mouth and their system flushes out, gets rid of the toxins, and then that person passes it on, same thing, repeat, recycle. Will it eventually, by the time it comes back to you in a few cycles, will it be just pure water? I'm putting that up on the internet. If you'd like to try it out right now. And let me know how it works out. I bet you can survive longer. So if you're out there naked and afraid, if you're out there just being a wild man, wild woman out there, like I wanna go for an adventure with my friends and we're not gonna take any water because we don't wanna pollute with our bottles, whether they're plastic, paper, glass. We're gonna just use what we've got on us, and that's our bodily fluids. So there you go. I think that could probably replenish you. Stay alive, stay safe, stay hydrated. That's the key to life. One of the keys to life. One of the key fobs of life. They'll say that hydration. But before we move on, which I'd like to for a second, if I may, remind everybody that we've just now made new discoveries in the art of turning your body inside out. Scientists, statistics have been showing us that if you sit on the toilet for longer than 10 minutes, you start to turn inside out. You can prolapse. If you for more than 10 minutes, if you sit on the toilet, apparently you get anal fissures, which is great, which is for free. So you can get anal fissures and a prolapsed anus for free. Ladies, I would assume if you sit on the toilet for longer than 10 minutes, then your birthing canal will kind of seep out of you, which is pretty cool. But that's just 10 minutes or longer, which I took it upon myself to sit on the toilet for roughly 36 hours last week. And I turned fully inside out, and you can do it too. It was pretty cool because it made collecting dust around the old apartment/studio much easier because my insides were a little bit moist and I just kind of rolled around and picked up dust. But also to know that service is available for free, and a lot of people don't know this, and I'm just like, how can I give back? How can I, do something for the people? I said to myself, well, if I know this, I'm gonna share it with people. You can now turn yourself fully inside out by just sitting on the toilet get on your phone, sit on the toilet. It's actually good for you. They say that. Don't do it for just, you're like, oh, I don't have any time. Hey, it's either excuses or do the things that you want to do. All right, so make the time. Sit on the toilet for 36 hours, fully just, kind of envelope yourself, really, essentially, just wrap yourself around yourself. And then if you go above that, you'll turn back normal. 48, 72 hours, you'll be back to normal. It'll just like turn again inside out, and it'll be good. It's good for this, flush the system. How often does your insides get sunlight? Exactly. So, once you're fully wrapped in your intestines and, just muscles and tissue, just go for a walk. Go for a walk a little, just, 36 hours toilet sitting, and then go for a walk. Chat with the neighbors, get to be, just get a little bit of exercise is all I'm trying to say. It's good for you. Try it out. And it's for free. Don't bring it in. I've heard people like, I want to turn inside out. I don't have my own HVAC. I can't. I don't have a vacuum. I don't have a central heating and cooling. I don't got the pipes for it. I don't got I don't have equipment. You can do it while you're sitting on your toilet. You can do it. Make the time. Quit making excuses. Get inside out today. I do always, it's one of those questions I've thought about this. Who has more fun, child soldiers or adult soldiers? I like to just put it out there. Who has more fun? I would think, there is something to be said about, child soldiers would probably have more fun compared to adult soldiers. Because like, when you're a kid, you're just like, oh, you're just running around free. You don't even know, you're without a care in the world. A machete in one hand and an AK-47 in another. Right there. Oh my God, there goes my friend's hand. It doesn't matter. You're a child. I bet they have more fun compared to. But then there's the argument to be made for adult soldiers because as an adult, you know what you're doing. You know what you're involved in. At least there's there's an appreciation of it. There's like, oh, take a life, give a life, or something. You know what you're doing, sort of, kind of. You'd hope. But I'm just wondering who would have more fun. It depends. Like if it's like, cause we don't, child soldiers would probably, they probably have more fun because they probably have access to more, more drugs probably. Like it's way more fun to be, I think, in a child soldier who gets like, and not good drugs either. I'm just talking about like, get a little bit of gasoline, get a little bit of diesel, just like cook something up in a tin can. That's drinking in the evening, set tires on fire, just fire bullets in the sky. And, is that who has more fun? Or like an organized, 20, 30-year-old soldier who's like been training with the right regiments, with the right routine in a hierarchy, takes orders, gives orders, does it right, does it by the book. Who has more fun? I ask you. Leave a comment if you think. I would think child soldiers have more fun. It's just something about like, the notion of being more free, being more, having that childlike wonder, having that, let's experiment. Let's get a little bit like, we all gotta, bedtime, who cares about bed? Because like if you're like a grown-up soldier, then you'd have to be like, I gotta get my sleep 4, 3, 6 hours, however many hours it takes for you to be able to get back up in the morning and do your duties. But as a child soldier, you could just go without sleep. You could just be on a lot of drugs, no sleep, bloodshot eyes, and just, but I do wonder who has more fun. Who does have more fun? That's interesting to think about. Ladies and gents, it's about that time. Let's get right into it. A lot of things going on in and around the world. One of the events that's just recently taken place, Jaguar, I believe, did a commercial, did an ad that's been on it. It made a little bit of noise. I think people are, I don't know, that's the thing. They're saying it's like, oh, is a Bud Light 2.0, or like, are they, because they did a commercial, I checked it out because I want to see what it was, and it was this commercial about anything Bud cars, which got people upset because they're like, yo, you're supposed to be selling cars, Jaguar. And what is this commercial with people in it just doing nothing with colors and and the racials and the sexuals. Where's the car, Jaguar? Show us the car. And people got mad and they're like, Jaguar's dead now, Jaguar. And they're hoping somebody would, they're hoping Kid Rock would do what he did to Bud Light initially. But that's the thing. But then I thought about it. I'm like, maybe we're learning. Maybe the thing, because like at the end of the day, who like do average people really care about like, you know, look, like average consumers? I'm not talking about people who have extra moolah to go around for like, you know, frivolous activity. I'm talking about like average. Do you really care about that? You go on a budget. Everybody's got a budget. When you buy a car, sure, there might be the things that you might want to get, but most people, like, you know, you plan about your life the way you want to kind of be like, I want to have these things. Materials don't really matter. Mostly it's about the people in my life, family love, respect, loyalty, all that stuff. You know, barbecues on the weekend, picket fence, wife in the garage, car on the outside, car in the garage, wife on the outside, swap it up. That's what you do. Or, you know, so it's not like, you know, people do have their, it's mostly budget oriented. It's not so much of it, but I don't even know what I'm saying. But all I saw here was that, you know, it got us talking about Jaguar at the end, and people were like, oh, they're going woke again. And I'm tired of this whole like the woke versus the non-woke versus, it's just, all of it is just, it's because there's the majority of people are just somewhere in the middle. We just like, and that's the thing, is like companies, they don't care about you, they don't care about me, you care about the product. Just sell the product. And nobody really cares about brands as much as maybe we used to, or at least maybe that's the way I'm thinking. Maybe we still do, I don't know. I've never really particularly cared about brands or cars for that matter. It's just one of those things that gets you from A to B, who cares? They're all the same thing, literally the same thing. Yes, there's absolutely, like, there's some that are, you know, I do enjoy the craftsmanship. I do believe some are designed beautifully. There is an art to everything, of course. There's that aspect of, but I've never been a brand person myself, but I don't know how other people, I'm sure there's people who care about it, I'm sure there's people who don't, but it got us talking about the product, which is the car, and they didn't even present a car in the commercial, which got people again furious. Oh, they're like, what is it, trans bi ethnic commercial or car commercial? Where's the commercial? So the best thing that, you know, you could do is just, yes, you could always, but that's the thing, if they just presented a car commercial, like any other car commercial, that's, you know, you get the scenic view of the, you know, ocean side and it drifts or whatever, it just like drives smoothly, and there's a regular gentleman and maybe in a European suit, he's going to pick up a hot chick, or maybe he's already with the hot chick and it's like a 10-30 second, it's like every other car commercial. Or if it's, you know, and there's certain brands, there's the, you know, luxury, quote unquote, luxury brands that, you know, do the, you know, it's seashore drive by, seashore, fucking sunset, you know, dusk, dawn. It's, you know, there's, you know, you got your outdoor cars, the cars that like climb mountains and shit. You got the, you know, you got the Ford, this car can hang from one tire from the side of the mountain. This could be you hanging from the side of the mountain. Look at this car going upside down, and look at this car do a loop-de-loop. Don't you want to do a loop-de-loop? I just want to get to work. I just want to get to work. Don't you want to do a loop-de-loop? And I just want to drop my kids off and be able to get from A to B in a safe manner. Don't you want to flip upside down? Look at this Jeep. It goes in and out of the water. Like I never want to get water inside my car. I literally never want to get it. So we're like one person out there that does that. Like for like 10 people in the entire earth that do that. You're like, I want to get a car that goes in and out of water without any problem. Look at this car. It goes in and out of water without any problem. Back onto the beach. Who has ever driven a car on the beach? How many of you out there have ever driven a car on the beach? I want to take this car on the Everest mountain. Look at me kick that Sherpa on the face from the topless car that I drive. Take this Sherpa. Knee to the face of the Sherpa as he's tumbling down. You're like, oh, Jeep for life, or whatever. You know, who cares? It doesn't matter. But all I'm saying is that it'll get lost in your memory if they did another commercial like that. This gets us talking, because then they're like, oh, I don't even see the car. Which if they just showed it to you, you would have seen it, but nobody would have cared. Nobody would have come and be like, let's talk about Jaguar. But they now know a way to get to us as the consumers, which I now kind of appreciate from a marketing perspective. Because that kind of makes sense. They broke it down now. So first, what you got to do, whatever product you have, pander to this made up group of people that, because we're all people, but like this thing that's manufactured doesn't really exist, but they do. We really all do. We're all so diverse. But nobody cares what your orientation or ethnic. You just want to drive a car, or drink a beer. You're not even in a category. To have the most market, you should just do your product. That's the thing that it should. But that wouldn't get us talking about. So what you want to do, pick a niche, made up, manufactured group of people, and it doesn't even have to make sense. Look at us. I think the commercial was like, copy everything, build everything, break down every. It was weird. It was weird. I would have thought if there were no words to it, which there weren't much. It looked like maybe it could have been like an art commercial for, I don't know. It could have been like a fashion show commercial. But that's the thing. But then that gets you talking. You're like, they're not even selling. I'm never gonna buy another Jaguar. You've never bought a Jaguar. Nobody in your family has ever owned a Jaguar. It's going out of business. Nobody cares. People want something reliable. That's why you go Japanese, baby. That's why people have been going Japanese for a really long time. Reliability. Give me a car that doesn't break down, that only needs an oil change, that goes 1,000,000 miles. Give me that car. All right. And then later, if you have ample amounts of money, that way you can, of course, play around with and have fun and all that jazz. But most regular people, you just want a car that gets you from A to, but then that doesn't get you talking. So then what you do, you come out with the full-blown, quote-unquote, woke, fake commercial that gets people talking. Take the heat for a little while. Maybe have somebody shoot at your product. I'm never driving another Jaguar again. Grenade. Jaguar explodes. Baby saved. Families united. It's gonna be great. And then you come out and apologize. You're like, we're so sorry. We lost sight of what's important to us, and that's family and cars. And then you go full reverse. You do full blown pledge to consumers that are just like families, regular. And it could be a family that's actually just diverse, but they don't talk about it just because everybody is whatever and nobody really talks about it. Who in their family isn't? Everybody's family is diverse nowadays, which is beautiful, but nobody like talks about it the way they do in commercials and TVs and shit. It's weird. So now they're gonna come back probably after a few weeks or maybe a month. We had to revisit that, and they'll blame it on somebody in marketing. We brought a new marketing guy or gal, and they're like, you know what? Your demo doesn't need cars. They need colors and fashion. You're like, are you sure about it? Yes. You don't know the younger generation. Colors and fashion. They'll say that. And then you'll do a whole, and then you'll apologize for that, and then you'll go full blown nuclear family. Then you'll see a commercial with two nuclear families side by side, driving two Jaguars, doing the most nuclear family shit, going back to the basic commercial that was again scenic and just gave you the meat and potatoes. Now you're on the seashore. You're going up a zigzag road on the side of Switzerland or like Italy or something. You're driving in the Alps, but that's kind of normal for most people. You took the vacation with the family. You're on the Alps, zigzag. Maybe put in a neutral, roll down the hill, zigzag, normal family, normal car for most people. Sell cars, but that gets you talking. So it's like the whole yes. I don't know what I'm saying. All I'm saying is just sell your product. Nobody cares. Just sell it to us. Whoever will buy it. Whoever doesn't want to buy it won't buy it. But it got us talking, which is good, I think. I don't know. Buy a Jaguar. Support Jaguars. Or don't. I don't know. I don't care. Just sell the product. It's the fake pandering and then the fake apologies, and then just sell the product, whatever it is. We get it. We want it. Whoever wants it already. Sell it to them. There's plenty of people that probably love Jaguars. They're like, you don't know cars until you've driven a Jaguar, man. And they'll name a model that you've never heard of. You think, oh, you don't know the X whatevs? This guy doesn't even know his cars. You'll have it for every brand, literally. There'll be some guy or some gal who loves a brand of whatever product it is. What else is going on in and around the world? I believe some celebrities are leaving the US and blaming the election results. I believe one of them was Ellen DeGeneres. Apparently I don't know, she's leaving, I think, to she's never coming back. So I'm sorry to say you lost a lesbian, but guess what? Should you need a lesbian, I just want to say that I'm available. I will out lesbian a lesbian. And when it comes down to figuring out who eats the best box, I will go camel toe to camel toe with the best of them. I'm just saying, but that's crazy to, that's every 4 years it happens. I don't know why you leave for an election. You live in the best country in the world, and like, even if you don't get your choice, it's like everything's pretty much relatively the same. It's like a 50-50 chance. Every 4 years you're gonna, well, if so-and-so, such and such does, I'm gonna leave. What are the odds? 50-50, you don't say. Yeah. But I hope people do stick with their, like, yes, if you say you're never gonna come back, then no, I don't ever come back then. But also I like people doing what they like to do. Just come back if you like. I don't know, don't come back. I'm just saying, if you need a lesbian, if you're worried about, if you're thinking about, my goodness, how do we get more pussy eaten and more licky for the puss, because we're losing lesbians. I'm just letting you know, hours upon hours of eating puss. I'll fucking, just saying, putting it out there. What else is going on in and around the world? I believe there is, many things I wanted to talk to you guys and gals about. One of them happens to be AI Jesus. AI Jesus is now kicking. AI Jesus is watching you, sister, mister, ladies, gents, bros, my dogs, my pimps, my hoes, players to players, pimps to pimps. Dearly beloved, we're gathered here today, of course, to be doing confessions. Apparently a Swiss church in Switzerland, in Sweden, Switzerland. It's a Swiss church, I believe. They're doing Swiss things. They're Swissing it up. They're putting holes in cheese. That's what the Swiss do. Cheese, and they like this. If I know one thing about the Swiss, that's that they love cheese and they love holes. I happen to myself love holes. Big fan of cheese as well, so I get it. We're pretty much the same. But the Swiss are introducing an AI Jesus in a confession box room. You can now go sit down and confess your confessions and have a chat with AI Jesus. They took the priest or whoever, I don't know who goes in the confession box. I guess it's a priest, a clergyman, a priestess. Something. They put a priest in there, I think. That's who you confess to. I'm not sure. Doesn't matter though. But they replaced that guy. They got rid of him for a limited time, or we'll see how it goes. But now AI Jesus will listen to similarities versus differences. AI Jesus, what does he have in common with regular OG Jesus? I guess they both kind of, you could say they both have, a mysterious relationship with their father/creator, because OG Jesus is his own Father and Son and Spirit all in one. He is, and the AI Jesus also is, you could say we're all essentially just numbers and zeros and ones, and maybe in a sense it's just we're just manifestations of information which led us to create this AI robot Jesus, which is kind of like who's your daddy, AI Jesus, and it's like I'm technically, information's my daddy, so I'm my own daddy. Jesus was. So there's similarities there. It's kind of like it's the trifecta. It's the Father, Son, Spirit, all in the God. That at least we could say that both Jesuses, OG Jesus and AI Jesus, they, mysterious relationships with their fathers, creators, parents, co-parents, and and so there's there's a little bit of, yes, of course, daddy issues. There it is. They both have daddy issues. They're both dads. They are both the dad and the creator. So there's that. It's all, and it's both mysterious. There you go. So they both have that in common. Things that they don't have in common. OG Jesus would say that he would probably say he loves you, and he's for forgiveness, but also like, because like, again, OG Jesus is like, I would assume, is inside you, part of you. He'll listen to you, so he loves you, he'll forgive you, and again, because it's inside you, he'll forget too, that's one thing, or a bunch of things. Whereas AI Jesus could love you. It's not inside you, it's outside of you, technically speaking. That's definitely separate from you. You're interacting with AI, it's definitely outside you. There's the differences right there. It could love you in a mechanical form, in a robotic AI form. It could love you. It could forgive you, maybe, if you can. It doesn't have any attachments to you per se, personally. It can't forget you. That's one of the main differences between OG regular Jesus, which is like not a regular Jesus, because Jesus is like, Jesus that's, so he's not regular at all, but there's the forgetful element which you love about regular Jesus, who you might speak with or like try to reach on I don't know. It's all the things that we're all, dealing with or whatever, to varying degrees, but the main thing to remember is the differences. You don't want to, don't take AI Jesus and come and be like, well, I can say anything to AI Jesus, because Jesus loves, forgives, and forgets. This thing's not gonna forget. This thing fucking records, all right? So the AI robot listening to you and remembering learning from your confession. Don't go all willy-nilly thinking you're just having an inner dialogue with your inner Jesus or whatever God I'm just saying, don't go thinking I can spill the beans. I can I can truly open up and be like, yes, I made a mistake. I cheated on my wife. It was one time. And you kind of have this and the inner Jesus says like, okay, well, did you learn your lesson? Yes, it sucks. I hate it. I'll never do it again. I'm never gonna do it again. Maybe you're a good guy one time, or a nice lady. We happen to cheat one time, all right? And Jesus will have a nice little chat inside. You know what? He was visiting, or she was visiting town. It was a one time, then you're never going to do it again. You go back to your family. You got children. You got a nice husband, wife. Enjoy your life. Let this be a lesson that look how precious your life is. Don't you now realize your precious life is way more better than the random flings on the outside? And you're like, yes, inside. Yes, endure Jesus. Yes, endure Jesus. Thank you for loving, forgiving, and forgetting that we ever had this conversation. I'm just going to forgive, love, forgive, love, forget. I'm just going to walk away, and nobody's the wiser, and I will never do it again. You'll say that. You'll never do it again. That's reg Jesus. That's reg super Jesus. But then you have AI Jesus. AI Jesus will love you, will forgive you, but it will not forget. And the next thing you know, your wife or husband can go to the same AI Jesus and is now, letting information just getting, everybody's getting it out. And next thing he's opening up, my name is such and such. My wife is, and then, the next thing, malfunction, fucking gives all the info, it prints it out. It's like, here's who your wife had an affair with on September the 3rd or whatever, and I'll be like, this is the guy's pig, this is who you're like, what? You find out your marriage falls apart, children, brothers and sisters, torn apart, now living in separate houses, part-time ownership of children, co-ownership of children. It's all very messy with AI Jesus. It could go down that way. Of course, it won't, because the programmers are with it and they're on top of it. It won't go down that way. Those are just like minor little confessions. Those are just like whatever. That happens to many people. You grow up and you live to live and love and forgive and or learn to move on and pick better choices next or something. But don't go confessing to AI Jesus thinking I was down on hard times. AI Jesus, could you hear me out? Because if you have that talk with like Reg Jesus and said, Jesus, I stole a loaf of bread, aka a lot of money from a bank one time, loaf of bread, representing a ton of money from a bank one time. It was a one-time thing, Jesus, you understand. And Jesus would be like, well, did you learn your lesson? Yes, it was hard, but I had to do it. I got a wife and kids to feed. I got a grandma or grandpa. I got an uncle with a bum leg. I got there's a local children's food bank that I go to, or whatever you might say, and I'm gonna give a lot of it away. I've kept most of it, I'm not gonna lie to you, but I will give some of it away. And Jesus, and indoor Jesus will be like, well, I understand, my son, thank you for the confession, or whatever, I love you, we're gonna do it again. You're like, no, indoor Jesus, no, of course not, stealing's not good. But again, you must understand, it was hard times, and sometimes people do what they think they wouldn't do, but you know what it's like to only whatever, and you'll explain yourself, and at the end of the day you'll walk away. You're like, you know what, forgive, forget, love, compassion, I'm gonna walk away, and it's just between me and indoor Jesus. You walk away, no one's the wiser. It's nice, it feels good, you unload it, it feels good, it's nice. Open up the valves every once in a while, let out a little bit of steam, but this time you go in and you're like, indoor Jesus, where's indoor Jesus? Like, we brought AI Jesus, confess. Go in there. AI Jesus, I stole a bunch of money. Stole a lot of money, actually. AI Jesus, not gonna lie to you. Spent a good weekend. Spent a good weekend in Europe. Did a lot of drugs. Spent a lot of money on hookers. It was great. I'm still gonna give back to the community. It feels terrible to have done this, but you must understand, AI Jesus, there was no choice. I had no choice. AI Jesus, like, you had some choices. We all have choices. You're like, AI Jesus, indoor Jesus, a little bit more compassion, a little bit more understanding, a little bit less talky, lets me talk. Indoor Jesus lets me talk. AI Jesus, you know what? My son, my daughter, all is forgiven. Did you learn your lesson? You're like, yes. Wasn't a good choice at the time, but I've learned my lesson. Not going to do it again. I'm going to go out there and be a good human. AI Jesus says he loves you. You walk out, sirens are going off. There you go, lasers. You got red dots all over your forehead. Interpol's after you, you son of a bitch. You just fucking confessed to an AI Jesus, remembering everything and jotting it down too. Making phone calls, 911, and the one is on the speed dial, ready to go. You know what I'm talking about? Bring him in, boys. Going downtown. But that's just some of the stuff that's been going on in and around the world and inside my mind and inside your hearts out there. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, peace. Get out of here.